What if I told you that the most powerful kingdoms in history were not built on stone walls or sharp swords, but on the invisible battles fought deep within the human heart? What if I told you that the real throne every man must claim is not the one placed upon his head, but the one he builds inside his own mind, where discipline rules and weakness is defeated? Many would doubt such a claim, for it is easier to believe that destiny belongs only to the chosen few. But the truth is revealed in the life of Prince Imad, a young man who once believed he was not enough until he discovered that the heaviest crown is not made of gold, but of responsibility, and that the fiercest enemy is not an army across the border, but the voice of doubt inside one's soul. Prince Imad grew up in a kingdom where his father, the late king, was remembered as a man of iron will and unshakable discipline. The people loved his memory, but they doubted his son. They whispered that the young prince was brilliant yet distracted, noble yet untested, and some even said quietly that he would never carry the weight of his father's legacy. Imad heard these whispers echoing in the grand halls of the palace, and though he carried himself with dignity, at night he confessed to the shadows of his chamber, "Perhaps they are right. Perhaps the throne was never meant for me. I have courage in my dreams, but weakness in my deeds." One evening, while wandering through the palace gardens, he was approached by an aged counselor who had once guided his father. The man looked at the troubled face of the prince and said, "Why does a crown so near weigh upon you so heavily?" Imad answered with frustration, saying that every time he tried to rise, failure dragged him down, and each stumble felt like proof that he was unworthy. The old counselor's eyes glimmered as he replied, "My prince, do you not see that failure is not the end but the fire? A sword is not born sharp. It is beaten, bent, and struck 1,000 times before it shines. Discipline is the hammer, and persistence is the fire. Without them, even the strongest steel remains useless." These words struck Imad's heart, though he did not yet fully understand them. Determined to test himself, Prince Imad disguised his identity and walked among his people. He wanted to see what strength truly looked like. He saw farmers rising before dawn, sweating under the sun, yet singing as they carried home the fruits of their labor. He watched a blacksmith hammering iron, missing his mark again and again, before finally shaping a perfect blade. When Imad asked why he did not give up, the blacksmith laughed and replied, "Because every strike, even the wrong ones, brings me closer to the blade I need." Imad carried those words back to the palace, realizing that greatness was not born from perfection, but from persistence. But before he could settle into this new lesson, life tested him with fire. News came that a rival kingdom had crossed the border with a massive army. Fear swept through the royal court like a storm. Ministers begged him to surrender land for peace, while generals pushed him toward reckless war. Imad felt torn apart, for he still carried doubt in his chest. That night, he walked again through the gardens, staring at the stars that once guided his father, and whispered, "Father, if only you were here. What should I do?" Though no voice answered from the heavens, he remembered the counselor's words. Discipline is the hammer, persistence is the fire. He realized then that the real enemy was not the army outside, but the fear within. The next day, he stood before his generals and spoke with a clarity they had never seen in him before. He told them, "We may be outnumbered, but we are not outwilled. The enemy's strength lies in their numbers. Our strength will be in our discipline, our unity, and our refusal to surrender. Fear is our true enemy, not their swords." The soldiers, who had been trembling with doubt, straightened their backs and followed him into battle. For the first time, they saw not just a prince, but a leader. The war was fierce. The rival army struck with fire and steel, but Prince Imad rode among his men, not watching from the safety of towers, but fighting shoulder to shoulder in the mud. He reminded them of their cause, telling them that even when they failed to hold the line, each stand was a strike of the hammer shaping the victory to come. Slowly, through persistence and discipline, his men turned the tide. The enemy, expecting a kingdom ready to crumble, instead met a wall of willpower stronger than stone. At last, they retreated in defeat. The kingdom erupted in celebration, but Imad did not wear the face of arrogance. Alone in the throne room that night, he whispered to the memory of his father, "Now I understand. The real crown is not on my head, it is in my heart. It is discipline that rules kingdoms, not gold." Yet his journey did not end with victory. Over the years, Prince Imad faced betrayal from within his court, years of famine, and the endless weight of decisions that determined the fate of thousands. At times, he felt exhaustion dragging him down, but he remembered the blacksmith's laughter. Every strike, even the wrong ones, brings me closer to the blade I need. He rose before dawn, worked harder than his council expected, and led by example. When famine struck, he ate the same bread as his people. When betrayal came, he responded with patience rather than rage. When doubt returned, he answered it with action, telling himself, "Every failure is not the end, but another strike of the hammer." As the years passed, his kingdom grew stronger, not just in wealth, but in character. His people admired him not because he was flawless, but because he had once been weak and had chosen to rise. They told their children the story of the prince who had conquered his greatest enemy, the fear within, and who taught them that persistence is the root of all greatness. In the royal gardens, the tree Imad had planted as a boy stood tall and unshaken by storms, its roots deep in the earth. It became a symbol for the entire kingdom, a reminder that the seeds of discipline, once watered daily, grow into giants no storm can uproot. So what if I told you that you, too, carry the same seed? That your dream, your purpose, your destiny is waiting not for talent or luck, but for the discipline to be watered daily. The world will laugh at you, doubt you, and tempt you to quit. You will fail, stumble, and question yourself 100 times. But like Prince Imad, if you keep striking the hammer, if you keep watering the seed, you will one day stand tall like that tree, unshaken by storms, admired even by those who once doubted you. The question is not whether you are capable. The question is whether you will persist long enough to see your seed break through the soil.